Most types of social investment broadly fall into two categories. So borrowing, sometimes talked about as debt, or shares, also known as equity. The first main type of social investment is borrowing or debt. Essentially, this involves taking out a loan, which the charity or social enterprise agrees to repay over a set period of time. Most debt investments are paid back with interest, so that's a fee that's paid to the investor for the use of their money. Common types of borrowing or debt are secured loans and unsecured loans. So let's start by covering off what a secured loan is. A secured loan is an investment that works like a mortgage on a house, so something many people will be familiar and comfortable with. An investor provides your organisation with a loan against an asset, so that's often a building or a piece of equipment, and this is used as collateral to secure the loan. You repay the loan on an agreed basis, so for example by making regular monthly payments with interest on top. It's often considered as the safest form of lending, and as a result, interest rates are usually lower. So why is this? Well, essentially the lender is taking what's often known as a first charge against the asset. And what does that mean? It means if things go wrong and you're unable to pay the loan, then they will have the first call over selling any assets in order to help repay the original loan. And that's why it's called secured lending. So next up, an unsecured loan. Well, as you would expect, it's the exact opposite of a secured loan. It means that the investment is not secured against an asset, and as such is seen as being a much higher risk type of lending. An investor provides your organisation with a loan and you repay it on an agreed basis, again with interest on top. But because of the lack of any security or assets behind this lending, it's seen as a higher risk proposition. And as a result, the cost of borrowing this type of money is likely to be higher. It's also worth noting that it's this type of unsecured lending that is most often required by social enterprises and charities. The second main type of social investment is equity or shares. This involves selling a portion of your organisation to an investor who then becomes an equity investor, so holds part of your organisation. Equity investment can be a challenge as only certain governance structures, such as registered societies, community benefit societies, and community interest companies limited by shares, have the opportunity to sell equity. Investors in shares may receive a percentage of any profits paid out by an organisation. This is often known as a dividend. They may also have a say in how the organisation is run. For an example, an investor pays £10,000 to own 10% of your organisation. They get a vote at your AGM on a one-member, one-vote basis, and they also can expect to get a 2% dividend depending on the profitability of your organisation. In fact, the terms and conditions, how many shares are on offer, the cost of those shares, any voting rights and any right to dividend payments can and will vary and will be set out in any individual share offer document for a particular investment. So it's really important to understand what's on offer. Common types of equity are community shares and quasi-equity. Community shares are withdrawable, non-transferable equity investment into cooperative, now known as registered societies or community benefit societies. It's a form of equity because the investors get a share into the organisation. And you might have come across it being used for community pubs, community shops or community energy schemes. Quasi-equity is an investment that reflects some of the characteristics of shares, but without your organisation having to offer up equity. Rather than paying back a set amount each month, your repayments are typically based on the performance of your organisation, such as profits or income. For example, you receive an investment of £50,000 and agree to pay the investor 2% of your annual income for 5 years. This is often known as profit sharing, and it allows investors to benefit from the upside of your organisation doing well, but also sharing the downside if things don't go according to plan.